A good Erev Shabbos. We're up to Chav Tes on the base. We started like a new Masechta yesterday. The things that are asa regarding usage of it, and we're stelzing on Yayin, right? On Yayin. Today's shir is going to stelzing on the concept of Giloi and Bishul. Yayin Mavushal and what? And the idea of leaving out overnight liquids. So we start with the two dots on Chav Tes on the base. The chaymitz of Kechavim that initially was wine. So there's two possibilities how this vinegar got in the possession of the guy. It was wine in the guy's possession that became vinegar, or he bought the vinegar from the Jew. The one that's usher is the wine that went ahead and became vinegar in his rishus. Pshita, mishum the achmitz pakale yisurei, just because it became what? Chaimitz, would the isser of yayin go off? Ravashi ha'asalash min. The chiddush is chaimitz shalanu biyadav v'kechavim ein sarich chaisim b'tay chaisim. You don't need a double seal. In other words, if you have only need one seal. Im yishum anuschei, if you're worried about nisuch, leimenaschei, he's not going to go ahead and be menasich the chaimitz. Im yishum echlufei, he's going to switch, guys. You know, why would you be concerned? He would take wine that became vinegar, and he'll switch it with your vinegar, right? He bought vinegar from you, so l'chayra, that's mutter. There's nothing wrong with that. But you only need one seal, not a double seal. One seal. Why do you need one seal? Because there is one chashad. What's the chashad? He'll go ahead and switch that for what? He'll go ahead and switch that for wine that became vinegar in his, because let's say let's say your vinegar is a better quality, so I'll switch it for that. So kamashmal and that one imishim echlufe kim in the ikar chaysim leitarach. It's Messiah. Since there's a pain to take off the seal, he's not going to be matriach himself and forge. Amar Rav Eloi shaninu yayin mevushal sharv de kechavim, yayin that is mevushal avodah kechavim. Again, the chiddush of Moshe's huge chiddush, bishul is at the stage of yad soledisba. Yad soledisba, tremendous nafkaminas, guys, regarding grape juice, pasteurized grape juice, whether it's considered mevushal or not. Famous tuba for a Moshe that yad soledisba is considered bishul. Many Shlomo Zalman argues that it's a famous machlokes. Well, now it's now famous anymore because you know it. Yayin mevushal shalev dikachavim shohay mitchilasa yayin aser. Yayin that's cooked initially, right, was regular yayin, and then it was cooked, it's asa. Pshita, mishum the avshel pakale yisura, just because you went ahead and cooked it, where'd the issa go to? Ravashi ha'aslash minan. Yayin mevushal shalanu biyadav dikachavim. Yayin mevushal, right, of ours in the hands of our kechavim ain't sarach chaysim, b'toy chaysim. You don't need a chaysim b'toy chaysim. Im mishum and suche lemenaske, they're not going to be menasek yayin esech. Im mishum echlufei, or what, if they're going to go ahead and switch, once there's a seal in it, echad leitarach u'mesayif. Okay, turn around. Yayin mevushal ve'alonis shalev dikachavim is asurim, right? They're asur. Alunsis kibiyasa muteres, but alunsis kibiyasa is mutter. Ve'ezi aluntis. What is aluntis? Kiditanya. Gabe Shabbos. Oisa anulmin. You can make anulmin. That was a drink that they would make. Alunis, but alunis is a refuah. Ve'ezehi anulmin, ve'ezehi alunis. Anulmin is yayin udvashal pilpelin. It's wine, pepper, and honey. Aluntis is yayin yashan. It's antiquated wine. Umayim tsululim, and water that you let settle. Ve'afar simoin and afar simoin. The avad l'bei mesusa that you would make what to go ahead and recover from the bathhouse. So since that's a refuah, it would not be permitted. So this was, Rashi says, al nasa is asa shayit kilas yayin. If he made it initially, it's asa because it's wine. But Rashi says al nunsis kabiyasa shalei hoye yayin mitchila biyadav kechavim ela lachu. It wasn't yayin in the hands of the guy, but he bought it asuya miyad Yisrael. Then muteris ba'na the sulay minasafle. Rashi's mashma would be asa what b'shtia. It's only asa be'hana. Okay, it's mutter ba'na, but it's asa b'shtia. Rabbi Yosef Nami Travayu yayin mazug Yayin it's Yayin Musik is a 3-to-1 ratio that they would go ahead and they would 3 parts water, 2 parts water to 1 part Yayin, 2-to-1, right? If it's Ein Boy Mishum Gilui, first of all, there's no din of Gilui, leaving it out overnight and having to chashad that a nachash drank from it. Yayin Mevushal Ein Boy Mishum Nisuch. And Yayin Mevushal, you don't have to worry about Nisuch, that the guy was menasech it. So Yayin, so if it touches it, it's not a problem. Iboilu, Yayin Mevushal Yesh Mishum Gilui, Ein Mishum Gilui. What about Yayin Mevushal vis-a-vis the halacha of Gilui? Yayin Mevushal vis-a-vis Nisuch, it's not part. But and Yayin Mozig is does not have Gilui. What about Yayin Mevushal vis-a-vis Gilui? Tashma, hey Reb Yaakov bar Idi, al Yayin Mevushal, she'ein b'ay mishum Gilui. He was made on Yayin Mevushal that you don't have to worry about it. It seems that the snake will not go ahead and drink from Yayin that is Mevushal. The snake will not drink from Yayin that's Mevushal. Rabbi Yanai by Yishmael Cholish. Rabbi Yanai by Yishmael got sick. Oil Ligabe Rabbi Yishmael ben Zirud. So Rabbi Yishmael ben Zirud came to visit him, the Rabbanon. The Shiule Bey. So Yavsa become Boilu. They sat and they asked, Yaim Mevushal, Yesh by Mishum Gilu, Yaim Mishum Gilu. What's the din of Yaim Mevushal by Gilu? Amalu Rabbi Shmuel ben Zirud, Hachiyam Rabbi Shimon Lakish, Mishum Gafar Rabba, Umanis Rabbi Yaim Mevushal, Ein by Mishum Gilu. Amulei Nismoich, could be Saimich on this psak. I don't know what the Shiloh is that he heard of it, he thought of it, and what is the lashon of can we Saimich on this psak? It's a very, very interesting lashon, right? Could you say mechanit lemaisa? Another so machvilu Rabbi Yanai by Yishmael, Rabbi Yanai who was sick, and it was hard for him to speak. Right? He showed with his finger, alai on me, al savari. In other words, I take achrayas that it'd be mutter to go ahead of Yayim of Vushal that you don't have a problem of gilui. So it's not you could be samich on it. That's what Rabbi Yanai is saying, right? He's saying that you can be samich on me. There was this cooked wine. Asila kamed Reb Chia that came in front of Reb Chia. Amalah hari omru yaim mevushal ein by mishum gilui. Shamed Reb Ada bar Ava. So the shamis of Reb Ada bar Ava. Igli le chamra miziga. It was chamra miziga was exposed. So chamra miziga we said above that there's no din of gilui by chamra miziga. Right? Amalei Hariomu Yaim Mazik ain't by Mishum Gilui. Amra Papale Amaran El the Mazik Tuva. If it's very, very condensed with water. Aval Mazik, V'lei Mazik, but if it's Mazik, V'lei Mazik, it's not, it's not so you don't have a lot of water, then the Nachash will go ahead. Shasi, the Nachash will drink for it. Umazik V'lei Mazik, Mishasi, Fred the Gemara would he drink from that's only partially diluted. Rabbi Rav Huna was going in a boat. Rabbi Nokit Chamra Bahadei, and he had undiluted wine on the boat. The Chaziel who Chivya, he saw this snake. It was coming quickly to drink the wine. Amalei l'shamei. So Rabbi Rav Huna said to a shamish, "Samei einay didan, blind this guy. In other words, make it that he won't want to drink the wine." Shakal kali maya shadabe. Took a little water and he threw it in. So what do you see? And he turned around. So you see, even if it's a little diluted, it doesn't say very diluted, even a little bit diluted, it's not going to drink. You said you want to make a difference if it's muzik or muzik, you would drink. You see over here, the putting in of water, just a little bit of water, would deter the snake from drinking. So achya masanafshe. And for the Gemara, achya, if it's undiluted, masanafshe. The snake will be masanefesh for the wine. Amaziga, but once it's what? So really you have to be chayish, right? Really you have to be chayish on mazik v'lei mazik. Over here he put in, right? He's not going to be moist nefesh if someone's around. If it was undiluted wine, then you saw the snake coming. Once it was diluted, he's not going to put himself in sakana to drink the wine. You're telling me that he won't be, if it's diluted, he won't be moist nefesh. Rav Yanai have be achburi. Rav Yanai was in this name of a place. The imilo others say bar hedya have be'achburi was behedya was there. Have yasri v'kashasi chamra. He was drinking meziga and poshlu chamra bekuva. He left over a little bit in the barrel. B'tzarinu the runka. He covered the barrel with wine, with a cloth. He covered it with a cloth. You saw the snake. This is weird. This is really weird. The shakal maya, the snake took water. Ramya bekuva, and he was throwing it in the barrel. The snake adamali bekuva until it rose up the wine in the barrel. And the wine came out on top of the cloth. So obviously it was very, very, very diluted, and nonetheless the snake's going to drink it. Vishasi. See, Amri, he answered, the mazik ihu shasi, the snake's own maziga he'll drink from. The mazigi achrina le shasi, but someone else's he won't. Amr Rav Ashi v'temer Rav Mishashia pirukul sakanta. Right. So said Rav Ashi pirukul sakanta. In other words, there's a sakana over here. You're not sure if the snake's going to drink or not. So you're answering up. There's a difference in when the snake does it, he does it. When it comes to sakana, it's more chama than what? Than isura. Sakanta adifa me isura. So anything that has to do with gilui and you have to worry about the snake, what are you answering up? Forget about it. The snake did it, don't answer up. But if he doesn't do it, don't fash touch it. A snake, you have to worry about muzik, loy muzik, you have to worry, period. That's what Rav Ashi answered. Like, what are you answering over here? Right? Rashi. Pirukul sakanta, right in the middle. The davar sheyesh b'sakana at the bol taretz, the list of rayas shonu meviin. You want to go ahead and bring terutzim to the rayas that we're bringing when it comes to sakana? V'anon nismach ahani shenuye, the lesser. And we should be soymich on this to drink from diluted wine. It doesn't make a difference. Diluted wine, not diluted wine. When it comes to sakana, it's asa. Amar Rabbi says, Rabbi, hilchas, what's the halacha? Yayin mazug yesh boy mishum gilui. Yayin mazug, there is a problem of gilui. Yayin mazug, there is a problem of gilui, as we just said, guys, right? In other words, we're overriding the initial psak. And we're saying yayin mazug, there's a problem of gilui. The yesh boy mishum yayin nesech, and also yayin. The yayin gilui also you have to worry about yayin nesech. Yayin mevushal ein by mishum gilui, ein by mishum yayin nesech. Okay, so this is the. Okay, let's finish the Gemara. Okay, I'm gonna before I bring in any Torah, any psak, I'm gonna finish the Gemara. Shamei de Rav Chilkiah bar Tuve, the Shamish Rav Chilkiah bar Tuve, Igloi hahi kista demaya. He had a kista, some type of vessel of water that was left out overnight. Vavinoim gabe, and he was sleeping next to it. Asla gabe de Rav Chilkiah bar Tuve, and he wanted to know what's the din, right? He wanted to know what the din was. So Amar Leis, Rav Chilkiah said to him, Hari Amru emas yoshan al alehem. The snakes, they're scared when a person's sleeping next to it, so therefore you don't have to worry about gilui. Bahani mili biyamama, that's only during the day. Avalayla, then low, then you have to worry. V'loihi, it's not true. Loishna biyamama, v'loishna b'leila, there's no difference. Amos yashan aleyam le'amina. We don't say that the snake is scared. If the snake's going to drink, he's going to drink. Rav le'shasi mibe'arma. Rav wouldn't drink water from a guy. Amalei sehiri begilui, because he said they don't care about leaving it open, and so he's worried about what? About sakana. Mibe amalta, but from a widow. A widow, she would drink. Omar sircha de gavra nikita. She has the habits of her husband, so she doesn't have to know the reason, but she knows her husband was makbid not to leave any a liquid water or yayin or cholad out, and therefore you could drink from a widow. However, Shmuel the opposite. Shmuel shasi mayim mibe amalta. He would drink from a widow. Amalei, lesla a masa de garva. She doesn't have the fear of a husband, and therefore she'll leave it out overnight. Not covered up. So he says the opposite of Rav. He says, but from a guy you could drink, because nehi dagluya lekapte. Good, they're not makman on giloy. Amnakrusa miya kapte. They care about what? They care about that. Not that they're not kidding about the snake. They're worried about schmutz getting in there. So since they be covered off from schmutz, you don't have to worry about snakes. Ikidiyami. So again, according to the first lashon, Rav was makbid not to drink from a goy. Shmuel was makbid to drink from a goy. Rav would drink from a widow, and Shmuel would not drink from a widow. The opposite. And now, Ikadi Amri, Ravle Shosim Maya Mi Be'arma, Avol Me'amarta Shasi. Okay, that's the same as above. Shmuel Shasi Maya, Loy Mi Be'amalta, Loy Mi Be'amal. Arma, Loy Mi Be'amal. And he was, in other words, he was chayish for both things. He was chayish that the woman would not cover it and the guy would also not cover it. So according to this, okay, so this is the sugya of wine. The whole concept of gili, I guess. But let's do first Yayim Avushal. Okay, what's the reason that Yayim Avushal you don't have to worry about Yayim Nesef? We all know we drink Yayim Avushal. You go to a chasana, on the table there's wine. Yeah, it's all permitted. Now, what's the reason that what does Mavushal do to go ahead and matter it? If they were goyis stam yenam at the Yayin Nesech, the Mela is saying Mavushal, they're not menasech, right? They're not menasech it. So here's the lashon of the Rambam. I didn't put this out on the screen. The Rambam in Perik Yud Aleph from Hilchos Meicholos Yisuris Halacha Tes. Ein misnasech la'akum el yayin sheroi lahakar v'gam mizbeach. In other words, the Yaim Avushal seems that what the Gozru kol yayin sheyigaboy when the Gozru and stam yainam or any yayin that the guy touched sheyasa b'haniya like Gozru ella al yayin haroy l'snasech. They were only Gozru on yayin that was what roy fenisach. Lefikach Yaim Avushal shel Yisrael shenaga b'ya'akum eina asa. You could drink it, not only can you drink it, you could drink it, share the cup with the guy. Because says the Rambam that Yayin Avushal was not Roy for Nisach. So there's no reason for the Gezerah, there's nothing, zero. Because the guy will not be Menasech Yayin, Betz Avushal will not be Menasech Yayin. That's the Lashon of the Rambam. The Rush has a different problem. Okay, so Dr. Press, we're explaining why Yayin Mevushal, what's the reason Yayin Mevushal, we don't worry about the Isser Yayin Nesach Stam Yainam, the Gezerah that we drink. So the Rambam says, because since the Goyim will not go ahead and libate Nisach on the Mevushal wine on the Mizbeach, there was no Gezerah made on them in the first place. That's the Rambam. The Rosh has a problem with that. And I'm using the Sefer, I looked up the Rosh, it's very Mekitzer, and the Rosh says something very interesting. He says the gezerah of wine was that you won't drink in the bars with the girls. We're worried about intermarriage. We don't want you drinking with the girls in the bar. What difference would it make if you're drinking cooked wine or not cooked wine? That doesn't seem to be the reason to go ahead on and say that Yayin Mevushal should be permitted. If the reason for Stam Yenam is because why? Of B'nai Seyem, you guys are because of B'nai Skutim, because Akum, so what should it make a difference? So what's Taka the reason that Yayin Mevushal is permitted? Says the Rosh that since they usually did not cook wine, it's the Milsad Le'Shchicha and Milsad Le'Shchicha Le'Gazv Rabbanim. Guys, you hear? Says that, no, they never made the Gezerah in Stam Yenam. They never made the Gezerah. It has nothing to do whatsoever with menasech, not menasech, the whole gezerah of drinking wine, atu stam yenam, because of nisach with being involved with girls, it's not applied because it's a milsa leishchicha that what they would cook wine, and since they didn't cook wine, it's milsa leishchicha legazer rabbanan. That's the rush. So the Rambam bishul yayin mevushal is permitted because they're not menasech, and according to the rush, you have to answer up not only that they're not menasech, you have to answer up. Stam yeno l'chayre geiser ata b'nai seyem. So, and that he's answering that he's answering that there's milsle shich legazer rabbanan. The Rashba in the Tshuva Chelik Dalet Simin Kuf Mem Tes, the Rashba says, Tama het the yayin mevushal b'fnei shekol yayin sheshmoy alav gazru v'asrua. Any yayin that had a shame yayin, they were geyser and it's aser. Aval ha-mevushal nishtana shmoy. Mevushal, they changed the name. V'akol koyin say yayin mevushal. They don't call it yayin, they call it yayin mevushal. So there never was a gezerah on it. The gezerah was on stam yenam. Gezerah wasn't stam yenam mevushal. V'chein kosev b'teres habayis. He writes and brought down the Torah. V'choy mitzvah yayin mevushel hainu taima v'shem ein taima yayin v'ein shmo yayin stam lefikach legazru behem. So you have two pshatim. You have the Rosh. There's no gezerah because it's stam because yayin mevushel was not it was musal shichi. You have the Rashba, who says they would never goizen on it because they would goizen on Yayin, and Yayin Mavushal is has a surname of Vushal. And you have the Rambam, since that Yayin, that's not royal in Asakal and Mizbeach, they weren't goizen on that. There are three different shitas how to explain Yayin Mavushal. We all know one thing, that it's mutter, the Rambam says you can even drink it with a goy in the same cup. You can drink in the same cup. So that's the heter of Yayin Mavushal. Now, what about Giloi? Okay, let's finish all the Gemara but Giloi, and then I did prepare for the screen something for the screen regarding Giloi, which is I find fascinating, and I have my kasha that I always ask. Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Rabbi Shua ben Levi, about 4 lines in the bottom. Shalosh yenos heim, 3 types of wine. Ve'emehem mishum Giloi, and these 3 wines. It's not possible gilui. The Eluhain, chad, that's strong wine, mar, bitter wine, and masuk, sweet wine. Chad, what does it mean? Chad, strong wine, or sharp wine, is tila charifa. That's the name of it. The mitzare zika. It's so strong that imamish burst. It's kept in this leather pouch. It bursts through the pouch. That's how strong it is. I guess the aroma and the tannins, they build up and boom. Mar is yarnka, whatever that is. Masuk is chulya. Chulya seems to be sweetened by the sun very much. And those wines, the snakes would not drink from these wines. The snake was a connoisseur. He drank certain wine. He didn't drink every single wine. It's fascinating. Again, a snake has taste.
That's why I only drank at Giloi, because it had to be open for a couple hours before he drank this.
He had to aerate it out. Very good, Baruch. Very good. Chama Masni Luye. Chama said, he said these 3 wines are choshev wines. Chad, it says Chama upilpelin, that's wine and pepper. Mar is absinthin, I have no idea what it is. Bitter, Basak is me Borg, named Borg. So anyway, these 3 were learned, Lagabe, these are superior wines, not in Gilui. Amr Shim ben Lakish, Karyana, anybody Mishim Gilui. A wine that's called Karyana, it's not possible, the Allah is a Gilui. My Karyane, what's Karyane? Amr Rabbavu, Chamra Chalya de Asim Asya. It's sweet wine that comes from Asya. Amr Rabba, in its place, you have to worry. My timer, Chama Medinahi. It's Chama Medina. It's the drink of the land. If you look at Rashi, guys, the second to last Rashi on the page, Chama Medinahi, by Nechashim Megillah. This is what they drink. The Nechashim in Eretz Yisrael, they won't touch the stuff. But in their place, it's Chama Medina. That's what they drink. You can make Havdalah on it. Okay. Amar Rava. High chamra de akrim, wine that became akrim, began turning into vinegar. Ad tilsa yoime yesh b'misham gilui. 3 days before that begins to turn, you have to worry about gilui. Umisham yayin nesech, and also about yayin nesech, right? However, on the base, mikam ve'elech, after 3 days, then ein boy misham gilui, you don't have to worry. Then misham yayin nesech. Ben adoy amri, afilu lebasa tilsa yoime chashina misham gilui. Even 3 days afterwards, Yechai Shagila, but not Yayin Esach. My timer, Zimna Mikri Shasi, maybe it'll happen that he'll go ahead right and drink it. So you see that Gilui Sakana, we're more worried about the Mad than the Isser of Yayin Esach. When we go ahead and extend the Isser of Gilui, we'll extend it 3 days beyond that, as opposed to what? The Yayin Esach. Tarabanan, Yayin Toises, Yayin that is fermenting. So you took it from the vat, it's fermenting. Eimei Mishum Gilui. Because the snake doesn't like the foam that's bubbles. The kama tisisasoi is gimel yomim. 3 days it takes from the vat. It takes 3 days to begin to ferment. Hashachlayim is cress that they would mix with wine. Ein ben mishum gilui. The snake doesn't like the mixture. U'bnei goyla nagu ben Israel. Bnei goyla they were noyig what Isser on shechlayim that was mixed. There's no vinegar in it. Avlisbu chalav, there's vinegar in it. Migri baha, that goes ahead and it deters the snake. Snake does not like. Now, I thought that the din of Gilui was only in water, yayin, and chalav. But listen to this extension. Kuta chabavli, which was that sourdough type of milchdik dish that we know would dip in. Ein boy mishum Gilui. However, ubnei goyla, then noyeg uba issa. They were noyeg issa. Amar Rav Menashe, isbei nikure. If you see nikure, like I guess you see fang marks, then chashin on yishbi chayish that the snake took a shot. Amar Rav Chiya bar Rashi, Amar Shmuel, may tif. If the water is dripping, you have water and it's dripping like from a barrel. Ein boy mishum Gilui. The snake does not like the dripping. Rav Ashi, who the ovid tif lahade tif. It has to be with a certain progression. That tif, not a little bit and stop, a little bit and stop. It has to be constant. And then the snake is not going to drink. Amar Rav Chiya bar Rashi, Amar Shmuel, pi te'ena, when you take out the oikets of the fig right there, ein boy mishum Gilui, even though there's a place there where what, you would think that now this is speaking where it's wet. Guys, I'm suggesting this. I don't know if it's true. Really, the Gili problem is water, milk, and wine. The shaila is if that's in a mixture with their din of Gilui. So shechlayim, for example, cress that you mix with wine, one opinion's not, bnei goyla was chayish for it. Kuta chabavli, which had milk mixed into it, right? So we were in a chayish, bnei goyla, yes. Good. That would make sense now. The te'ena is speaking where it's wet, it's moist. So maybe there's no pshat he's going to take a bite into the te'ena. Guys, if you give him the te'ena that you got in your bag of bucks, along with that hard bucks, so there's no way that the snake is eating this. We're speaking about a fresh fig that has water on it. So perhaps I'm suggesting that would make it more susceptible because of the water aspect that the snake might go ahead and take a bite out of it. In my mind, I think that makes a little sense. Okay, I don't know if it's true. I'm just suggesting it. So I'm Rashi. Amar Shmuel pi te'ena ein boy mishum Gilui kiman ki aitana the Tanya Rabbi Eliezer Omer oichel adam anofim te'ena b'layla. A person can eat grapes and figs at night. Ve'ena chayshes mishum. I mean, not chayshes because of Gilui. Mishum shnema shamim b'shem Hashem. You don't have to check even, and Hashem will watch over you. Amar Rav Safra mishum Rabbi Shua deraima shloisha mini eres. Okay, let's just finish. Shloisha mini eres. There's three types of venom. Shel bachar, a young snake. Sheikeya. That venom sinks to the bottom. The shel beinani, a middle-aged snake. Mefafeya. It kind of floats, but not all the way to the top. The shel zaken, an alta snake. Suf, it floats to the top. Remember, the kamer, the koshes, kochush, chela. You mean to say that the older the snake gets, the weaker it gets. But Tanya, shloisha kol zman shemazkinam gevura metesefes. There are three things that as long as they age, they get stronger. Eluhein dag nachash v'chazir. So you see a nachash gets older. So why do you say that what? That it's weaker, the strength that it floats to the top. Says the Gemara, and for the Gemara, koyach asuf. In fact, it does get stronger. Who the kamaisiv? Havasahire, its venom kolish gets weaker. Now, shel bacha shakeya l'may hilcha. So what halacha? L'may hilcha. So the Tanya chavia shen is gala, a chavia that was left open. Afa pisha shasla mimeno tisha. Even though 9 people drank from it, v'lei mesu and didn't die, la yishta mimeno assyria. 10th person should not drink from it. Why? Because since the venom of the bacha is going to sink to the bottom, the first 9 were not drinking the venom. It's only the last person below. And Assyria, 9 drank and they didn't die. The Shasha Assyria Mason, and the 10th person drank and did die. Amraviria, Zo Shekeya, that's Pshat in the bacha's venom that it sinks. The same thing would be a melon. Sheniskalsa that was left open. Again, very moist. Afabisha Achlu Meno Tes, Bene Yadam, Ble Mesu, Layachlu Meno Assyri, Maisa Hayav Achlu Meno Tisha, Ble Mesu, Layachlu Assyri Mace, and he went ahead and he went and died. Why? on Rabbi Zehu Shekeya. That's Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yirmiyah said Zehu Shekeya. That's pshat in Shekeya. Tan Rabbanon, Mayim Shen is Galu. Mayim Shen is Galu. Water that was what? That was left open. Mayim Shen is Galu. Water that was left open. Harizelo Yishchem B'Rishus Harabim. You shouldn't spill it out into Rishus Harabim. Yarbitz Ben is a bias. Nor should you go ahead. The houses would full of dust, and they would go ahead and put yayin to go ahead and put it down. Don't do it. Well, you got yad when it's a tit. No, you shouldn't go ahead and knead the clay with it, because when you're kneading, maybe the eris will get absorbed in your skin through your skin. And you shouldn't give it to drink. Not to your animal, not to your friend's animal. You shouldn't wash your face with water. These are water that was left out. Where there's in the body where there's an indentation, then you have to worry. Ain't certain but there's no indentation, then what? You have to worry. So again, if it's just contact with the skin, you don't have to worry. You have to worry if it would seep in, which would make a lot of sense. Our knowledge of how eris works, it would make much more sense that it has to seep into the bloodstream rather than absorb through the skin. It's the exact same thing as the Tanakama who says you don't have to worry. It can be nayu gava yad v'gava regel, the rumone be'ape and the cheekbones. So the gava yad and gava regel and the cheekbones. Since it's overhead, it's smooth in this area, you wouldn't have to worry, right? The Acherim said Acherim will let you wash there, but the Tanakama will not let you wash there. I read the Gemara Omamar LaYashke Mehen LeBehemtav LeMischavei, right? But Tanya Aval Mashkeu LeBehemes Atzmo, you could use it to wash it. So how can you explain that stira? One place you said you can't, one place you said you could feed your animal. Kitanya he l'shunra. You know what animal we're speaking about is a cat. Cats are not affected by snakes. It's amazing, guys. You ever see that in Phoenix, in places where they have rattlesnakes, they always have house cats. And the house cat, a regular house cat, kills the snake. It pounds it with its hands, and it kills the snake. It's amazing. It's not scared. The snakes, they're not scared of snakes. Regular tabby cats are not scared of snakes. They have that ability to kill. Yihachi the chavein. So if it's speaking about a cat, why can't you feed your friend's cat if he's immune to the venom? It says the chavei kachish. Maybe it'll weaken your friend's cat. It'll weaken him. The nami kachish, you yourself. It gets better. The chavei nami the will get better. Simon the boil is bune. Sometimes this guy's friend will want to sell his cat, right? Sometimes he'll want to sell his cat, and he wants to sell his cat. He won't be able to sell it because it's weak because of the venom. Therefore, don't go ahead and feed it to your friend. So this din of Gilui is brought down to Shulchan Aruch. Here it is. This is the lashon of Shulchan Aruch. And where does Shulchan Aruch get it from? So first, a Taisvis. There's a Taisvis. Okay, do you see the word Mishum Shifta? Is the first word in the line Mishum Shifta?
Yes.
Okay, now, this is a very good Marmakan. It's Yuma, Ayin Zayin Omid Beis, it's the top Taisvis. And it's speaking about a Ruach Ra that's on the hands, that you didn't wash. It's all about Ruach Ra. Taisvis concludes, all I want from this Taisvis is the conclusion of the Taisvis. What does Taisvis say at the end? Umasha olam einis harin achshav bezeh. If you say oisa ruach ra shoira be'elu malchuyos, this ruach ra does not exist in this area. Kimay shein is harim ala gilui be'alazugos. Just like we're not nizar in gilui and we're not nizar in zugos, doubles rather than triples. We had the Gemara in Arab Pesachim. We're not nizar in these things. So this Taisa says we're not nizar on gilui. It's not something that we're nizar on. Okay. However, okay, you see Kuf Tazayin Dvar Masur Mishum Gilui?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is Yarideya, Kuf Tazayin, Dvar Masur Mishum Gilui. That's what it says, Dvar Masur Mishum Gilui. Mashkim shenisgalu, drinks, liquids that were left out, asurim chachamim, the chashin shemeshasa nachash mehem, the hittel behem eres. That may be what the snake drank from it and placed his venom in there. Says the Mechaber, Ba'achshav she'ein nechashim mitzuyim beinenu muta. Ramah doesn't say anything. Obviously, he agrees. Ba'achshav she'ein nechashim mitzuyim beinenu muta. And now that snakes are not found among us, it's muta. That's the Tosfos, right? We don't have to worry about it anymore. However, Ma'aser Rav is the minhagim of the Vilna Gaon. Tzadik Hey. Galoi Asar. Af she'ein nechashim mitzuyim beinenu. For Huzal and the Vilna Gaon, hoya nizar ma'oid b'davar. The Vilna Gaon was very, very, very careful when it came to this. Then he was very careful when it came to this. He was really, really careful when it came to this. It's fascinating, fascinating. Now, I heard a pshat. So Shlomi Bornstein brought in a very interesting pshat from the Gaon. Gaon has a sefer Aderes Eliyahu. What's the thing with the snake and wine and liquid? And listen, listen what the Gaon says. What was the klala of the Nachash? Afa toichel kol yemei chayecha. If you ever saw a snake, fellas, they don't enjoy their food. They can't chew it. In order to enjoy your food, you have to be able to chew your food. They have to swallow it whole. They have no hana from eating. That's the Mida Keneged Mida. He desired Chava. We learned the Gemara. He desired Chava and wanted to enhance his pleasure. Mida Keneged Mida. He doesn't have pleasure. That's the says the Gaon, that's only solid food. Afa Teichel Kol Yemei Chayecha is speaking solid food, but not a drink. That would explain the taiva of the snake to drink. I was wondering, why is the snake going after the wine like it has a taiva for it? They have to worry about it. Because Einachinami, the snake will go ahead. Guys, we had Gemara. It'll be Ma'aser Nefesh. The snake will be Ma'aser Nefesh. Why? Haste this, that this, he really has enough from this drinking wine and other liquids, he has tremendous enough from it. And therefore, even during the day, where a person's sleeping next to it, he'll go ahead and drink. It doesn't make a difference. So that would explain this connection between the wine and the liquids and the snake. My biggest problem that I've brought to you many, many times, and I've asked really big people, they didn't give me a shot. When we were younger, they were called poisonous snakes. They're no longer called poisonous snakes, they're called venomous snakes. Because there's a difference between poison and venom. Poison, if you ingest, you will die. Venom, if you ingest, you won't die. The acids in your stomach will destroy it. The venom is only potent when it gets in your bloodstream. The snake, when it bites you, it injects it into your bloodstream. That's when it's problematic. That will be the problem if you have an indentation and you're rubbing it on. It'll be problematic. The only problem a person drinking would have if he has an ulcer and has the ability to get in his bloodstream. I asked this to Rav David Cohn. He said, perhaps the teva has changed. I asked it to Rav Yeshua Kalish Etzal, and he said to me, don't ask me questions from science. That's what he said. Don't ask me questions from science. That's what he said. In other words, he didn't say it. He didn't say it in a negative way. He goes, I can't explain it. I've never seen a good explanation. Again, it doesn't, in other words, if it's true, guys, we have, the Gaon was makbid, even after the fact there's no nechashim there. Now there could be heebie-jeebie stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure. In other words, it could be the eres with the wine, maybe something else than the wine, the eres without the wine. I'm not sure. I have no idea. But I never got a good question. This question has bothered me for years and years and years and years. And I've been unable to find a pshat that sat well with me. Again, be that as it may, that's the sugi of Gilui. Bez Hashem, we'll continue on.